What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Pablo back on the show. Pablo, good to have you, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. How are you, Alex?
Doing good. Great to have you on as always. And this is going to be a fun episode. This is the 2023 NFL free agency episode. We'll be looking at the AFC and all the moves in free agency. The league, you know, going into the offseason, starting to take some shape, heading into the draft. Um, One of my favorite times of year. Let's get started in the AFC East with the Buffalo Bills. They lose to the Bengals at home in the playoffs. Everyone expected them to be a contender. Now they're making some moves. Their biggest thing, so you see Leslie Frazier steps down as defensive coordinator. It
Yeah,
sounds like head coach Sean McDermott is going to call defensive plays. Do you think that impacts the team at all, losing Leslie Frazier?
yeah, it does. 100%. He's a mastermind. Just going back to basically the game against the Chiefs at Arrowhead. I think it was like week 5 or something. Obviously,
Mhm.
he basically knows how to bring the best out of that defense. And obviously, considering the fact that their offense is top 2, top 3 in the league, they need that defense to sometimes come up with plays. And Lazy Fraser, he always got that defense running whenever they needed to. And before we start, just to set the tone, people might be wondering like why I'm sitting in the dark. Basically, there's a blackout going on, and I'm using my flashlight basically for my lighting. That's what's going on.
Hey, we gotta do what we gotta do, right?
Yeah.
We'll make it work. Now, yeah, I agree with you. It's a big loss from Leslie Frazier, but I believe Sean McDermott is capable of stepping in and keeping it going,
Yeah,
keeping the defense
yeah, and
competitive. Go
yeah, and
ahead.
also like yeah, and to think of, I think it's family related. So I'm thinking I'm thinking it's health issues with him. Just like I'm hoping he's all right. I'm hoping he takes the year off and he comes back healthy and stronger. We know coaches don't want to leave the game, and obviously for someone to just like say I'm taking a year, something must be going on. So basically, we're just hoping that he's good and that he'll be back.
Yeah, absolutely. A former Chicago Bear, so you know I got love for him. So they lose Devin Singletary. Um,
Hmm.
but they did replace him with Damian Harris. Uh,
Hmm.
550 combined yards, 3 touchdowns last year with New England. Now you got a running back room: James Cook, Naheem Hines, and Damian Harris. That's not too bad. But
Hmm.
I have been thinking the Bills need to upgrade the running back position. And I don't know if Damian Harris is that major upgrade, but they're still good. They're still
Yeah.
competitive.
Yeah. Like Singletary's main like breakout year was like 2021. Basically, he was the go-to running back for that offense. And to think like obviously he's moved on to new and better things. And just to think of, they need a big running back. I think they've always had the much smaller backs. We have like 5'10" running backs. Obviously, Naeem Hines is an upgrade. Obviously, major acquisition via the trade in November, and they also have like James Cook, who is going into like maybe his second year.
Yep.
Obviously, that's massive. There's a lot of potential there. Obviously, someone with the talent sharing the same gene pool as Dalvin Cook. You always expect good things from him. I think they just need a big running back. If they can get like a 6'2", 6'3" big back in the draft or like undrafted free agent, I think that will be massive. They just need that big guy to like churn out those like 5 yards, 4 yards that like just kill defenses.
Yeah, especially down in the goal line, red zone.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of big running back, there's been some rumors. What if the Bills make a trade and get Derrick Henry?
Oof. Oof. That's massive. I'm not sure if that's legal. It's like pairing up CMC with Lamar Jackson. You're seeing talks of
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson going to San Francisco. I'm not sure that's legal, man. Like Josh Allen is a big running back with a big arm. Derrick Henry is a big running back with like obviously the stiff arm as well. I'm not sure that's legal, man. Like I'm pretty sure like the AFC East will be terrified by that. Obviously, I'm one of the best rushers in the league. I'm one of the best passers. That will be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I said it when I saw the rumor. I was like, just hand him the trophy if they get Derrick Henry. Like, look out. And then I
Yeah.
mean Austin Eckler, anybody like that would would be an upgrade.
Yeah, 100%. Although I think in terms of Eckler's patience with the Chargers, I think is that loyal of a player. Although he might be getting unhappy. Obviously, he's led like the league in touchdowns since like 2020. Hasn't
Yeah.
gotten a Pro Bowl. Obviously, hasn't even shown even had a playoff win to show for it. So I don't know, like that might be interesting if Eckler decided to make a change. But he's that good of a player. He needs to think of maybe like getting something like getting a Pro Bowl selection, getting like a playoff win, or like even having a Super Bowl run. That'd be massive for his legacy. Is that good? Is underrated. Obviously, he needs to like just get like that monkey off of his back, and maybe Buffalo is the place to do it. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Yeah. It was likely to go on a deep playoff run for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's look at. I mean, staying in the AFC East. Let's look at the Dolphins. They fired defensive coordinator Josh Boyer, but they
Mm-hmm.
hired Vic Fangio, who has
Mm-hmm.
had multiple defenses that led the league in turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever someone talks about Matt Nagy's Coach of the Year award, I always say that's Vic Fangio's award. I love
Mm-hmm.
Vic Fangio, big fan. Do you think he's a good fit in Miami?
Yeah, he's a terrific fit. Obviously, that defense struggled a lot last year, which is unlike the usual Miami defenses in the past like 5 or 6 seasons, because that
Yeah,
defense has usually been the better team and offense has usually been the lackluster side of the football. That defense was lackluster last year. Vic Fangio is a defensive-minded genius, man. Like whatever he did, I mean, Denver obviously is still like massive. Knows how to stop the run really well. Obviously, knows how to spot talent and like make sure the playmakers actually make plays. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins just acquired Jalen Ramsey.
yeah,
That'd be massive.
that's
With Xavier
huge.
Howard, that cornerback duo is incredible. And I
Yeah,
think in terms of just what they want to do defensively, they have enough of a genius on offense with Mike McDaniel, and they just need someone on defense to handle it and like make sure that basically they stop Josh Allen. They try to basically stop the Jets that are coming with Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, that's massive, and
yeah.
hopefully Vic Fangio does that, because defensively, we know he can do it. His legacy, his resume speaks it all.
Yeah, I think that he plays a big part in getting that defense back. Jalen Ramsey, like you said, that's a hell of a combination at corner. Jalen
Hmm.
Ramsey and Xavier Howard.
Hmm.
Um, so I expect them to be much better defensively. What did you think of Mike White from the Jets signing with the Dolphins? That's a good backup behind Tua.
Yeah.
With Tua's health issues, having a good backup is huge. Um, and the Jets lose a decent quarterback here, but if they're bringing in Rodgers, they can live with that. Do you like Mike White as a backup for Miami?
Yeah, at one point, I was so excited about him. I really like him as a player. I think at some point I thought he could be the Jets starting QB,
Yeah,
because he's that good. He obviously just didn't win games. It's the problem that comes with being a quarterback for the Jets. It's just like winning wins are hard to come by, and
mm,
at some point I thought he could be the starting QB. Obviously, being a backup in Miami, obviously Miami still have quarterback issues. Obviously, Skylar Thompson last year, we thought he could
yeah,
be the guy after he had a terrific preseason. Mike White is a great addition. Obviously, someone that you can depend on, especially if you're in the second half and like maybe the Miami Dolphins blew out someone in the first half, you can bring him on, see how he looks. And maybe he can even contribute in the postseason if Tua gets hurt. Obviously, we're hoping that he has a healthy 2023. And I just think as a player, he's that good. He can throw really well. He can scramble. For someone who is not like very athletic, he can scramble a little bit and extend plays. So that's, I think he's a good QB, good addition.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so I mean, Yeah, the Dolphins should be better, especially
Mhm.
defensively. It's all going to hinge around Tua's health, and hopefully he can
Mhm.
avoid these concussion issues and stay available. They re-sign all their running backs. They keep Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Miles
Mhm.
Gaskin.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
so they
Trent
should be good.
Sherfield went though.
Yep. Trent
Yeah,
Sherfield went to Buffalo. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good ad for them.
yeah,
They're loaded at receiver. I mean, Trent Sherfield's like wide receiver 4, somewhere
yeah,
around there. So,
yeah. Yeah, and to
um,
think of and to think the Miami Dolphins, they basically have one of the fastest offenses, and to think that they can also add whoever they want to draft. Obviously, they also have very good draft position as well. They can add if they want to, and like just speaking of them is scary considering the fact that obviously Tua's 50 option is coming up. There's an extension coming up for him as well. It's curious to see how that goes down considering the Lamar Jackson situation and basically
yeah,
how that will pan out. And obviously with extensions that are coming up from that 2020 class, we expect them to be scary for some time. It's not just like we're expecting them to be scary for in 2023 or 2024. We're expecting them to be scary in like 2026, 2027. And yeah, just tough times in the AFC East. A tough time to be a New England Patriot fan for sure.
yes, exactly. And let's go to the New England Patriots. And I'll give the Patriot fans a glimmer of hope. This is why you can be optimistic if you're a Patriot
Yeah, don't
fan.
do that.
The reason
No, don't
why
do that.
is
Hmm.
because Matt Patricia is no longer
Hmm.
calling your offensive plays. You,
Yeah,
you upgraded your
that's
offensive
good.
play caller in a big way
Hmm.
with Bill O'Brien, former NFL head coach. He had success at Bama, and
Hmm.
that's just a major upgrade. I'm not the biggest Bill O'Brien fan in the world, but Bill
Hmm.
O'Brien compared to Matt Patricia, night and day. Huge addition. Uh, do you agree with that? I mean, Matt Patricia should have never been calling offensive plays.
Yeah, never. I like. I'm not sure what Bill Belichick was thinking, and I saw like as a conversation on ESPN. I think it was Get Up. I think Swagu and the boys Damian Moody, they were talking about how Bill Belichick should basically be under pressure, considering like obviously they had the conversation that Brady was the success, maybe Bill Belichick was the success in New England all these years, and since Brady left, Belichick has had mood to show for it. So maybe
Yeah.
it was Tom Brady that was successful. Obviously, like having he had Matt Patricia and like the other coordinator, I forget his name, who was also calling plays. It was just terrible, like playing an entire season without an offensive coordinator. Obviously, Mark Jones took a step back in 2022 after obviously getting a Pro Bowl selection in his rookie year. It just shambles for New England at the moment, and obviously they can't acquire anyone that's really good to play the quarterback position. Obviously, they should get Lamar Jackson if they're smart enough.
Yeah.
They
I was gonna
yeah,
say.
yeah, and they can't acquire someone at the wide receiver position who's also great. So obviously, there's talk of DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin going to New England. I don't know what Bill Belichick is actually going to do to rectify this situation or like to save basically his face in 2023. But at the moment, it's not looking good.
Yeah, they need to figure out the quarterback position. Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, whether they
Hmm.
go get someone like Lamar Jackson or, you know, there's got to be an upgrade out there. We'll
Hmm.
see if Mac Jones can bounce back. And I liked what Bailey Zappi did in his little bit of time out there. I do like the additions of Juju Smith Schuster, who had a
Hmm.
big bounce back year in Kansas City. You know, we all kind of thought Juju was fading out, but that's
Yeah.
what happens. You get, team up with Patrick Mahomes. Um, 78 catches, 10 big playoff catches. So
Hmm.
you team him with Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne. That's respectable, I think.
Yeah, it's not
And
bad, but it's not great, but it's
yeah,
not bad.
yeah, you can do, it's all right. And then you add Mike Gesicki at tight end, along with Hunter Henry.
Hmm.
Two
Hmm.
underperforming tight ends lately. Maybe they can get it going. And then James
Hmm.
Robinson. But yeah, nothing
Hmm.
that really jumps off the page. Hopefully Bill O'Brien performs miracles. But yeah, the Patriots need to do something to spark that offense. And
Yeah, and
yeah,
yeah, I agree. I agree. I think obviously, New England, we know it's a proud football like place. Obviously, they love their Patriots over there, and it's crazy because like obviously they've had like 2 decades of winning and pure domination, and obviously now they're going through a situation where they can't even like win the division. Obviously, the
yeah,
Buffalo Bills have it on lock. Like it's done. They have it on lock, and obviously, you have the Jets even having their number now, which is it's not
yeah.
ideal. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the Jets, let's go to them. They fire offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur and hire Nathaniel Hackett, former Packers OC, former Broncos head coach, pretty
Hmm.
much going all in for Aaron Rodgers. If they don't get
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, then the Jets are going to be pretty screwed. Um, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers says he wants to be a Jet. Everyone seems that the Packers are saying he's not going to play for us. The writing seems to be on the wall. What do you think's holding up this deal? Why isn't Aaron Rodgers already a Jet?
Yeah, they can't figure out the draft picks, man. They can't figure out the draft picks. Obviously, it seems Wisconsin want like at least 2 picks. Obviously, they want a first for sure. And Aaron Rodgers is as much as basically as great as he is, or like as big as his legacy is. Obviously, like 3 or 4 MVPs. He is not worth a first round pick anymore. Obviously, he's like he's headed towards 40, and I think for me the ideal pick should be just one like third round pick or like one second round pick or like four or like 1/4 or like 1/5. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where the problem is coming at. I think the in terms of the contract they ironed out that situation in Malibu. I think obviously would you say that he came out of those conversations with Aaron Rodgers like very optimistic? So I think in terms of the contract situation with Aaron Rodgers, I think they're good, and I just think it's Green Bay that is basically holding out for like a better draft pick. And I think we definitely get a final basically decision way before the draft. I think like 2 weeks or like 3 weeks before the draft. I think it's definitely coming like let this month or like early next month.
Yeah, I think it has to, right? You need to figure out your situation, know what your plan is going into the draft. It's
Hmm.
not like the Packers really have a choice. Like, come on now,
Yeah,
let's just move on
yeah.
and start over.
Yeah, and
uh,
like yeah, and like the last time I was on the show, I said this to Dustin, and like he basically wanted Aaron Rodgers to stay in Green Bay. So comes full
yeah,
circle, man.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we've been talking about Rodgers getting traded out of Green Bay since 2020. It's
Yeah,
it's time. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and the Jets are building around him. And, they got Nathaniel Hackett, his guy.
Hmm.
They bring in
Hmm.
Alan Lazard, who had a career
Hmm.
high 60 catches last year. And then
Hmm.
now you add McCole Hardman as well. That's actually
Hmm.
a pretty good group of weapons, along with Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis. It should be a pretty good receiving core for the Jets once you plug Aaron Rodgers and get Brees Hall back as well.
Yeah, I don't like this one bit. Like I hate gambling. I really do. I hate gambling. Obviously, for the Jets, it's like Super Bowl or bust, or like for Aaron Rodgers, it's like
Yeah.
Super Bowl or bust. So they are banking on him to actually get to the dance, to at least get to the dance. And I don't know if it's possible, man. Like just getting out of that division, obviously, there are like three teams that could get to the FC Championship game. Obviously, if you're counting the Jets, obviously the Dolphins and the Bills, and like it's like obviously they're trading away key players for them. Like Elijah Moore, he's like going into his third year or like his second year. He's a good player. Obviously going to Cleveland, which is like
Yeah.
for me it's mind-boggling. He's a good receiver. He's really young. Obviously Braxton Berrios, he was one of their best players last year. Like obviously like at some point they're number two wide receiver, obviously, and a crazy kick return specialist. Like yeah, it's one of their best players. Obviously, is gone now, and
And
they're bringing in Alan Lazard. He hasn't impressed. They're bringing in Obviously, Nicole had was like supposed to be the wide receiver one after the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill. He wasn't in Kansas City. That's why he's basically he was a free agent. It's gambling for the Jets, and if it doesn't pay out, I can't see this ending any other way except for a sack for Robert Sala and maybe the GM. Man, I don't like gambling, man.
Yeah, it better work out. Yeah, you're gambling on like what? How many years are you gonna get? One, two? At
Yeah,
most
at
three.
most three. Yeah,
Yeah, and so it better work out. But that's why I'm strongly believe that Lamar's getting traded and gonna get his deal because man, you look at the Jets, for example, who haven't had a franchise quarterback since Joe Namath. These teams are desperate. You don't underestimate how desperate some of these teams are for a franchise quarterback. And the Jets, that's why the Jets are doing this just to get Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. Like
yeah,
they're going all in. The Jets,
yeah.
they draft Zach Wilson and they're putting Broadway Zach on in the paper. Like they're desperate.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, New York is a big town. They tend to do that with their players, obviously with their QBs as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cool Joe was the name for Neymar. But I think in terms of Lamar Jackson, no, not in terms of in terms of Zach Wilson, I say this in 2021 and I stand by it. The Jets should have got Justin Fields. They should have
Oh,
I mocked him to the Jets at second overall in 2021. They passed on him. They passed on the number one A or number one B QB depending on who you loved in 2021 or if it was Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. They should have because they basically have a monster defense. They had a monster offense last year and in 2021 and they decided to gamble it on Zach Wilson because he had one great year at BYU, which is
yeah.
it was mind-boggling for me. I thought they should have went Justin Fields. I still think they should have went Justin Fields, but at the moment it's just happy days for Chicago because Ryan Pauls is cooking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they they better hope they get Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
You know, that's about it. They got to go all in on that. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you
Do you
know,
want to talk about do you want to talk about the AFC North?
yes. Let's go AFC North now. And
Yeah.
let's talk Baltimore Ravens. Now Greg Roman resigned after last season, and the team's hiring
Mhm.
Georgia OC Todd Monken. How do you feel about that? Is that a sign that Lamar's leaving as well, or do you think that Lamar can still return under with a new OC and all that?
I think Lamar doesn't care who's the OC. I think
Mm-hmm.
he basically is that type of player who just basically wants to play. Basically will try to learn the offense regardless of what offense is playing in. Obviously, the basically heavy tight end set and running back set that Greg Roman ran in Baltimore is now history. We're so glad that's happening. We haven't seen Todd Monken in the league for some time, maybe 10 years, maybe eight, and
Mm-hmm.
it has been some time, but we know is an OC that likes to basically play to the player's strengths. Obviously, if he has a great wide receivers, obviously the wide receivers are getting fed. If he has great running backs, obviously like he did in Georgia, obviously the running game is going to be electric. And I think it's just an OC that likes to mix it up. I think that's basically what Ravens fans are optimistic regarding Todd Monken. I think in terms of Lamar Jackson, I think this is such a crazy situation, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that the Ravens get this figured out because
Mm-hmm.
if they don't, obviously the Ravens have never had like that big of a QB. Like obviously Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl, that's why people remember him. Obviously Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl, that's why people remember him. But
True.
just like a great QB, like Lamar Jackson is the best QB the Ravens have ever seen. It's the best
Yes.
QB. He's the best QB the franchise will ever have for some time. For some time, obviously we don't know what will happen in the future,
Mm-hmm.
but they have to figure this out. I'm talking in terms of obviously the locker room, like a couple of people have spoken about the locker room. It's headed to basically becoming a mess with this entire situation. Obviously, Rashad Bateman obviously spoke out. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins spoke out. Obviously, after that playoff loss against the Bengals, the players want him signed. The fans want him signed.
Yeah.
The media want him signed. Everyone wants him signed except for the Ravens. So it's they need to figure it out, man. It's not ideal.
I mean, so I can understand. To me, it makes a little sense why the Ravens are hesitant to pay him
Hmm.
because of the two injuries the past 2 years. But based on his upside, based on his potential, based on you're not going to upgrade, you're not going to find anyone near the caliber of Lamar Jackson. Sometimes your hand is forced and you have to pay your guys. If you want to win and you want to be a contender, not only in your division but in the AFC, you have to have Lamar Jackson and you have to build around him. I don't
Yeah,
think the
hundred
Ravens
percent.
have done a great job building around him. You know,
Hmm.
instead of
Hmm.
trading away Hollywood Brown, I would have
Hmm.
kept Hollywood Brown and I would have tried to add like DeAndre Hopkins to it. You know, give
Yeah,
Lamar weapons so that he
yeah.
can go on a deep playoff run. I think that upset him losing his wide
Hmm.
receiver one.
Hmm.
And, I don't blame him for, bottom line, Lamar wants to get paid. He wants that security so that if he does get hurt, he's financially taken care of. And,
Yeah,
uh,
100%.
and, uh, I understand, you're talking about Deshaun Watson really screwed up the quarterback market with that deal. But
Yeah.
that's just the going rate now. If the Ravens don't want to pay that, someone else will. We just talked about how desperate the Jets are for a quarterback. The
Hmm.
Falcons, the maybe
Yeah,
the Commanders. Watch
yeah,
out for the Packers. Watch out for the Colts.
yeah,
The Patriots.
yeah,
Someone is going to see the value in Lamar, and I can't wait for that deal. I'm holding out. I can't wait to
yeah.
see how much he gets paid because I want to see it break Deshaun Watson's record. I want to see it fully guaranteed, and Lamar's worth it. He's worth it.
Yeah.
He's an extreme talent.
Yeah, 100%. And it's definitely going to be the major like talking point of the off season. Everyone will have their eyes on this, and I think obviously we're getting multiple reports. Like obviously someone is basically discussing with teams regarding Lamar Jackson, which he came
Hmm.
out and said is not true, and people still believe it's true. Like
I
it's
think I
crazy.
think it's Saint Omni. Isn't it Saint Omni the same guy as Roquan
It's
Smith had?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Saint Amni, obviously, he is an advisor to Roquan Smith. Obviously, he helped him get obviously that 5 year $100 million extension last year. I think it's someone else. But he is someone who's a business partner of Lamar Jackson. He is not basically discussing with teams about Lamar Jackson, man. Like he is not his agent. Obviously, he's
There's
unregistered.
always
That's
these
why.
rumors. Yeah, there's always
Yeah,
these crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and obviously it infuriates me because, like, obviously Lamar Jackson, he is obviously we know the Ravens. Obviously, I believe this is a big conspiracy theory. I believe the Ravens front office is leaking things to the media, and I
Yeah.
think obviously I think they asked Lamar Jackson to be quiet regarding this deal so that they can have the upper edge. Because like
Yep.
someone, if you don't have an agent and you can't speak to the media, that's basically gagging. Like that's basically they're telling you like shut up, we're going to screw you over, and
Yeah.
basically no one's ever going to hear about this until after we have screwed you over and you've signed the deal. And I think it's just a situation of basically people need to look at this objectively. Like obviously the Ravens are a business. They're trying to run this business wise. And Lamar Jackson obviously is looking at his future. He's obviously he got hurt, and I think many people can fault the Ravens for his injuries. I think obviously people say he missed missed two seasons to like basically ends of the seasons, and I think that's basically due to the Ravens not strengthening his O line in 2021, and
Hmm.
obviously not strengthening his O line in 2022. Obviously, he got hurt in the pocket. That has to be clear to everyone speaking about his injuries, and
Yeah.
obviously you only get hurt in the pocket if your O-line basically leaks. And although the Sacks went down a third in 2022, that O-line still, they don't have a right tackle that's good enough. We know Morgan Moses was an acquisition, and obviously is decent, but it's not that guy. And if Ronnie Stanley is not playing at left tackle, they basically have no one. They can bring in Daniel Falele, who was a rookie right tackle, forced to play left tackle last year. Like like that O-line is paper mache, and it's tough, man, for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, because when you have a franchise quarterback like Lamar, a Super Bowl championship caliber quarterback, why not build around it? Why not give him protection? Why not give him weapons? Um, and to me, I see this, it's very similar to what I saw in Chicago with Roquan Smith. When you
Mm-hmm.
represent yourself, which I'm a big fan of, representing
Mm-hmm.
yourself and having success, when
Mm-hmm.
the media and the agents and the teams are all and the fans in line all going against you, saying, "Oh, the reason he can't get a deal done is because he doesn't have an agent. He's hurting himself." That's why I was so happy to see Roquan get highest paid linebacker all time. You know,
Yeah, 100%. And 60 million in total guarantees.
yeah, and the thing is I think when you represent yourself, it's harder to get a deal done at home. It's much
Yeah,
easier to go somewhere else to get that deal because in
yeah.
contract negotiations, it can get kind of nasty, and then egos get involved. Roquan felt disrespected. I feel like Lamar feels disrespected, and then the
Mm-hmm.
team. It's harder for the team because there's no buffer between the player. It's just straight to the
Mm-hmm.
player, and it's tough. So in
Yeah,
that regard, I think that it's likely that Lamar ends up going somewhere else just because it's tough to get that deal done. I mean, do you think that if it were me, I just signed Roquan Smith and he just improved our defense to top five?
yeah,
Wouldn't it make sense now to pay Lamar and now you've got Roquan on defense and Lamar on offense and let's go win a championship?
yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah, it makes sense. They should do that. Why they're not doing it is crazy. Why they're not doing it is mind-boggling. I think Steve Bashari, I think is one of those guys. This all boils down to him because he's the guy that doesn't want to raise that massive escrow check because he should write it, but it just boils down to him. He doesn't want to, and the Ravens go when he says go. And I think also I agree with you in terms of like you sometimes you have to go somewhere else to win it and to get the deal that you want and like just to win business wise.
Mhm,
Obviously we saw that with LeBron James. He has done it multiple times in the NBA.
mhm,
Obviously, Brady didn't care a lot about the money.
yeah.
Obviously, considering he was basically winning Super Bowls like every 3 or 4 years. And I think in terms of just like teams, I 100% think the Detroit Lions should be in the conversation to get him.
They should be. Oh
They
yeah.
should be. They should be
Yeah.
like the NFC North is there for the taking. The Vikings are really good, but we saw how they're basically they're a third of their last season of like a third of the season like just they faltered. They basically lost to the Giants in the playoffs, and the Giants were the Giants, man. And yeah, and the Cowboys, not the Cowboys, the Bears. That's just obviously they're rebuilding and they still have a lot of work to do. The Lions are coming, man. The Packers are like obviously trying to rebuild as well. I think in terms of just like taking a stand in the division, if the Lions get Lamar Jackson 100%, they're contending, man. Like contending in the Super Bowl. Jamison Williams is coming back. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. These are weapons on offense. They have an O line that's really great. They have Penei Sewell, who basically should be a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, and he
Yeah.
isn't, man. And they basically they should get Lamar Jackson. They should try it. They have two first round picks this year. They can't send the 18th pick to Baltimore and keep the sixth overall pick, which is
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know if Brad Holmes listens to the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast,
He
but he
should be.
should. Yeah, he should be, but he should try to get Lamar Jackson. He is basically key for them if they want to win a Super Bowl. Jared Goff was decent. He was great last season, and obviously the fact that they had a winning season was massive for that fan base. Obviously, they haven't seen that in years, and I think they should win. If they have Lamar Jackson, they should win the division. They should have a home playoff game, and like with Lamar
Yeah,
Jackson, and
something.
they should
Yeah. Yep.
and they should be in the conversation with Philly, with San Francisco, like in late January, man. Like basically
Yeah.
they should try to get Lamar Jackson. I don't know why no one's linking them to Lamar Jackson, man.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I'm one of the biggest Detroit Lions haters you can find because I'm a Bears fan. I'm
Yeah.
naturally going to hate on the Lions, going to hate on the Packers. Man, there's no denying the Lions are building something. They're
Mm-hmm.
building the trenches. They're solid. They got weapons. They just added David Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
You you could send Jared Goff in that deal to Baltimore
Mm-hmm.
to sweeten the deal. He's coming off one of his best years of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like you said, you can keep a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if the Lions add Lamar Jackson, they become the favorites to win the NFC North.
Mm-hmm.
And if they take care of business, they could have a home playoff game for the first time since I believe 1991. Like,
Jeez.
if you're the Lions, do it. Like, what are you waiting for? You could have drafted Justin Fields. You didn't do
Mm-hmm.
that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's no sure thing. Go get Lamar. I agree 100%. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and to think of like obviously at sixth overall, you're not getting a QB. Obviously, they're not looking for a QB at the moment because
yeah,
obviously Jared Goff is set to start in 2023. But at sixth overall, you're not getting a QB. Like Will Levis maybe might be there, but like, are you taking him at sixth
yeah.
overall? Maybe you're taking like maybe a defensive lineman, a linebacker that's really good, or like an offensive
Corner,
tackle that's
something
really
like
good.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I think in terms of just like the fact that you have two first round picks is a massive opportunity. Obviously,
yeah.
everyone's talking about Detroit is going to trade down. I don't think they are at sixth overall. I don't think they will. I just think this is an opportunity. They're never going to have an opportunity like this again, especially considering that the fact that they are a winning team now. Obviously, they are going to get like later picks, later picks, later picks. They have the sixth to get basically someone that's a weapon for Lamar Jackson if they acquire him, and they just send that 18th overall to Baltimore. Like here you go. Like it's nothing for them, man. Like
Yeah, and
and
sweeten
I
the deal for Baltimore. The Ravens would be like, we get a first, we get potentially Jared Goff. I think Ravens are like,
yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah, and that Jared Goff obviously incentive as well. If they
Yeah,
send him to Baltimore, 100%. Like EDC is such a shrewd like negotiator. Is such a shrewd businessman. He obviously he'll jump at that 100%.
yeah, that's a hell of a scenario there. It's a good thing to bring up. Someone's gonna do it, right? Someone's
Yeah, I
gonna.
have power.
Nice. There you go. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay, go
right.
on.
Yeah, I mean, someone's gonna trade for Lamar. Someone's gonna pay him. There's not a doubt in
Mm-hmm.
my mind that if the Ravens don't get it done, someone will. And I anticipate my prediction all along has been more fully guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I hope it happens. Detroit is that's a great trade scenario you brought up. Um, do you think I mean, and then also, I would love to see Lamar Jackson with David Montgomery in the same backfield. My Bears are stupid. You got a chance to have Justin Fields and David Montgomery together for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
they move on from him. I got plenty to say on my Bears, but we'll talk about that when we do the NFC.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Let me
Um,
let me ju-
yeah,
let me
go
let me
ahead.
just let me just buy data for. I'm saying like I'm running out.
What's that?
I need to buy. I need to. I need to buy. I need to buy data. I need to buy data.
Me too. I was dealing with that yesterday
Okay.
or 2 days ago.
Okay, we're good. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Um, so let's go Cincinnati Bengals. Same exact coaching staff. They bring
Mhm,
in Orlando Brown Jr. on a 4-year, $64 million deal, four straight Pro Bowls since 2019 to protect Joe Burrow.
mhm,
Um, Bengals were in the AFC Championship game last year, or two
mhm,
years in a row now. They beat
mhm,
the Bills in Buffalo.
mhm.
Um, do you like the Orlando Brown Jr.? You gotta love that. Protecting Burrow, and I mean, I see the Bengals with Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. This team's gonna be contending for years to come. That's the recipe. Get a quarterback like Joe Burrow, build around him. Bengals are a threat every year.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, massive for them that they built around him in the draft. Obviously, like having those like high draft picks obviously helped. I love Orlando Brown Jr., obviously a former Raven. Ravens fans hate the fact that he's playing in Cincinnati, man. Like they were literally trolling him online. Obviously for obviously basically wearing the tiger colors. I think yeah, I think the problem with the Bengals, obviously these players obviously acquired by the draft. Obviously, T Higgins is like set for an extension, man. Obviously, Joe Burrow is. We know that check is going to be massive, man. Jamar Chase, when his time comes, that check is
Oh
going to be massive, man.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. So basically, they have a headache coming in like maybe 2 years, and teams are snooping around T Higgins. Obviously, we saw like obviously the Bengals are getting asked questions during the combine about T Higgins and basically trading him or like basically him requesting a trade or something. I think obviously he's staying, but obviously teams are starting to start to circle around, and they maybe there's a threat of teams picking their talent. But Orlando Brown Jr. is a massive acquisition, man. This is basically the blueprint. This is the blueprint that the Ravens should have done. You draft a good QB, you like draft really well and build around him, and basically go try and win a Super Bowl, man. Obviously, they tried to do that. They have tried to do that twice, and they obviously have fallen short. But you can feel it. Like these are team with momentum, and obviously they've bodied the AFC North for the past 2 years. I can't see why they can't do it again in 2023. 100%.
yeah. I mean, they build around him. You know what? They go get Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow's college teammate, who is
Mm-hmm.
breaking records with at LSU. It's what most of us would call common sense, but in some of these front offices, common sense isn't all too common. So, love
Yeah.
to see what the Bengals are doing, and yeah, they're going to be contenders for years to come. For the Cleveland Browns, they fired DC Joe Woods. They hired Jim Schwartz, former Lions head coach, Eagles DC.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they get Dalvin Tomlinson, run stopper Juan Thornhill at safety. They
Mm-hmm.
trade for Elijah Moore, a
Mm-hmm.
full year to with Deshaun Watson. Getting chemistry with his teammates and from training camp through preseason. Browns are
Mm-hmm.
going to be a threat in that division too. We'll see what happens with Lamar. Um, but on paper, I got the Browns as the second best team in that division, um, competing with the Bengals. I think it's gonna. I'm really looking forward to a full year with Deshaun Watson and those weapons.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Obviously, I think regardless of whether Lamar Jackson stays, I think the Ravens will be good if Lamar Jackson stays. I think obviously Lamar Jackson wants to win every single year that he's playing. I don't think that he'll be unhappy even if he plays on the tag. I don't think that he'll be so unhappy that he'll basically like basically put lower performances on tape. I don't think he's that kind of a player. I think he's a player that turns up 100%. Whenever he's healthy, he plays really well and he obviously gives his all. In terms of like the Browns, they're a sleeper team. I agree with you. The
Yeah,
second best team. If Lamar Jackson is not basically in the AFC North come September, the Browns are the second best team, man. Like
yeah,
obviously Deshaun Watson, he basically has laid low. Obviously we haven't had a lot about. Obviously Cleveland is that kind of a town that basically nothing happens. but obviously he has laid low. I think obviously he is practicing with I think he is a type of player that basically takes his players on holidays and things like that. So obviously, like you say, the chemistry is he'll have 1 year under his belt with his receivers. Obviously, Amari Cooper is still in that building as well. So you have to think of them as a big team and a sleeper team for sure in next year.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what they look like. Um, Real quick on going back to the Ravens. So, do you think? I think I get this feeling with the front
Hmm.
office of the Ravens. Do
Hmm.
you think Tyler Huntley having some success coming in to fill in for Lamar, getting to
Hmm.
the playoffs, damn near
Hmm.
beating the Bengals in
Hmm.
Cincinnati? Was that in Cincy or in Baltimore? Or was
In
it in Cincy?
Cincinnati,
Yeah,
yeah.
damn near almost beating the Bengals in Cincy in the playoffs.
Hmm.
I think there's some thinking in Baltimore from the front office, like, man, we can win with Tyler Huntley, and I
No,
think
I
it's
don't.
doing them a disservice thinking
No,
like that.
no. I don't think. No one thinks. I don't. No one thinks they can win with Taylor Huntley, man. He like I don't care what like this is why I get mad. Basically at NFL fans, man, because like you have a bunch of people talking on Twitter that wins are not a QB start. I think that's 100% false, man.
I agree.
Like wins are a QB start. Like that's why
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is the most winningest QB in the Super Bowl era. He has like point
Yep.
800, man. Like he is incredible, man. And then you have like Tom Brady next, and then you have like Staubach next, and then Lamar Jackson is fourth, man.
Yep.
Like wins are a QB start. Taylor Huntley has won like one game that he started. He's lost six, man. Like that's yeah. No one thinks like, no, you can't win with him. It doesn't. I think J.K. Dobbins said this as well after that playoff loss against the Bengals. He said that if Lamar Jackson was the QB 100%, there's no way the Ravens lose that game. And
Mm,
obviously, he attributed that to his mentality. I think that just QBs, like you have the Tom Brady's, the Patrick Mahomes, you have quarterbacks that just win. Like they just
yeah.
know how to win. They just want to win. They win, man. And Taylor
Yeah.
Huntley lacks that. Obviously, the talent-wise, he is incredible, man. He can throw a really beautiful ball. He can run the ball really well. He can scramble if he needs to. But just like getting over the edge, getting over the hump, man, when he needs to. Obviously, we saw that, man, a 14-point swing. That was, yeah, you can't win with Taylor Huntley, man. If the Ravens front office is thinking that, they're basically in for a road shock in 2023 if he's the starter for them.
I'm just coming from I know this type of thinking well, being a Chicago
Hmm.
Bears fan. That
Hmm.
sometimes front offices and organizations believe I can save money at the quarterback position. I have a top five defense and I can run the ball and I can win that way. Now, do I
Yeah,
agree with it? No. Pay Lamar
hmm.
Jackson. You're not a
Hmm.
contender without Lamar
Hmm.
Jackson. But some
Hmm.
organizations, some front offices can convince themselves to think that way, and
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
disagree
agree. I
with
think,
it, but
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think whenever a front office thinks like that, that's about it's about time that they leave, man. And
yeah,
obviously, that's yeah, we saw that in Chicago, man. And obviously,
yeah.
everyone is gassed about what Rand Paul is doing, man. Because that front office is back again, and that organization is basically having a little bit of a resurrection. And I think it's if Eric DeCosta is thinking that at some point they can win with Taylor Huntley, man, it's time for him to go, man. It's time for him to go, man. 100%.
Speaking of your biggest rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they add Patrick Peterson. That's a cool add to the secondary. Landon Roberts, Isaac Samuela, um, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Najee Harris. The future of Pittsburgh.
Pat
Um,
Fryermuth.
Pat Fryermuth. Yeah, I mean they're coming. They're a couple of years away, I think, but they're coming. They're gonna be tough to
Mhm,
beat.
mhm.
How do you feel? Is Kenny Pickett an actual threat in your opinion? Do you think he develops? How do you see that? It helps having Fryermuth and Pickens and Najee. I'm not a huge Kenny Pickett guy.
Yeah, I think obviously you're not because obviously you're a Mitch Trubisky guy.
Yeah, but he's
I
not the long term answer either. I'll admit that.
Yeah, he's a bridge QB. Yeah, he's a bridge QB. I think
Yeah.
I think I think Kenny Pickett was without a shadow of a doubt the best quarterback on that roster last year, and it was his rookie season, which
Yeah.
is that should be scary for anyone who's looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he's a quarterback that has potential, and obviously in terms of like stability, the Pittsburgh Steelers are known for stability, and they're not a team that basically are going to draft a quarterback this season and basically go draft a quarterback the next season, like 2 seasons from there. I think they will stick out with Kenny Pickett. I believe in him. I 100% believe in him. I think for someone who should be a pocket quarterback, he scrambles a lot, and he extends plays. He makes accurate passes, and obviously he has monster wide receivers: Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, you just mentioned. Obviously Najee Harris, Pat Fryermuth. I think they're massive, man. They have Connor Hayward, who basically is playing with his brother. We know that they're a good organization, man. It's always tough
Yeah,
to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everyone knows this. Even if like you don't play in the AFC North, you know you're always going to have a good game, a tough game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They play tough physical football, and Kenny Pickett basically can improve. The upside is there. No one was talking about the size of his hands by the end of the season, so I think that's enough
exactly.
for him. He's a good player.
Yeah, I agree. I said it at the beginning of last year. I was like, the Steelers don't lose. Like, it don't matter who they got, they're gonna finish with a winning record. Like Mike
Yeah,
Tomlin's a hell of a coach. They're gonna
yeah,
figure it out. So they're always a
yeah.
threat, absolutely. Um, so I mean, yeah, you know, we'll keep these episodes coming out and keep our, but the free agency is a blast. The draft right around the corner as well. I'm looking forward to doing some mocks, and getting
Yeah,
more into the
yeah,
draft.
yeah. When is
Yeah,
your first one coming? I know you do like 3 or 4 mocks.
yeah. We're planning on doing one. I'm gonna do one soon in the next probably 2 weeks or so. I want to do a
Hmm.
mock, so 2 to 3 weeks. Um, and
Yeah,
I've done a top 10, but now that the
yeah,
Panthers made the trade for number one and all that, I gotta start getting
yeah.
on that.
Yeah. Look, yeah. Go on. Let me hear your top 10. Obviously, the Panthers is just one pick. Yeah, let me hear your top 10.
So let me pull this up so I can look at it here.
Do
Top
you have
10.
Anto- Do you have Anthony Richardson going number one?
No, I don't. Um, I've actually got so I think CJ Stroud goes number one.
Mhm.
Um, I think Bryce Young is probably the more talented, but people
Mhm.
are gonna fall in love with the size and arm strength. CJ Stroud looks like a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think he goes one to Carolina. Anthony Richardson could. I don't think
Mhm.
Bryce Young goes to Carolina.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I agree.
Bryce Young to Houston at two. I think that
Mhm.
just makes too much sense.
Mhm.
Will Anderson Jr. at three to the Cardinals. I think the Colts could go Anthony
Mhm.
Richardson at four.
Gee, so they're not acquiring Lamar Jackson.
They could. So they could either go Lamar or Anthony
Yeah,
Richardson. Boston wants him to go Will Levis. I don't see it. I don't see
yeah, I
Will
don't
Levis.
see it. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't
yeah.
think
Will
he's a
Levis is,
10.
his 2021 was better than his 2022, and
Yeah.
obviously Kentucky man is like, yeah, you want someone that's played in the big leagues, man.
Everyone is mocking Tyree Wilson to the Seahawks. I don't
Hmm.
know a ton about him, but they love him. Um,
Yeah, I've seen a few mocks saying that the Seahawks could get Anthony Richardson a QB after they just signed Geno Smith. Do you think that's possible?
uh, no, possible, yes. Do I likely no?
Yeah, I don't
You've
like
got
it.
Drew Lock. They signed Drew Lock to a 1 year deal. You've
Yeah,
got Gino. I think they
yeah,
believe in Gino. I think they're pretty
yeah,
confident in Gino.
yeah. I believe in Geno too, man. He never wrote back.
Yeah. Um, at corner, number six to the Lions, I got them going corner.
Hmm.
Um, maybe they go Jalen Carter if he falls. They could. I mean,
Hmm.
wow, that could boost their D line. But
Yeah, I
um,
think he'll fall. I think he'll fall 100%. Obviously, teams are concerned about him. I think he'll fall.
yeah, and So looking at corner, if I'm the Lions and I can add to that, I would go. Personally, my favorite corner in the draft is Joey Porter Jr. That's who I would go.
Is
I'm
Penn
a big
State.
Penn State, and I was a big fan of his dad, linebacker for the Steelers and Dolphins. Big Joey Porter. He's a dog. Like he's a corner that you don't want to get hit by. Like he's
Mhm.
physical.
Yeah, yeah, he plays
But
like a linebacker for sure.
yeah, I also like Devin Witherspoon, so they could go there. Um,
Yeah, do you like for me my top corner would be Christian Gonzalez. I think in terms of just the like the hands and like the ball skills, I think is incredible.
yeah, he's gonna be right there too. Those three corners could go. Either one of them could go first. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a deep DB class.
yeah. Raiders. What do you think of the Raiders? They need to. They got Jimmy G. Um, I don't know what the Raiders do here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Raiders usually basically in a planet of their own. But I think they definitely will add someone on the offensive side of the ball. I think 100% they should try to get a wide receiver. I think obviously I think they will obviously losing Darren Waller is massive, and obviously
Yeah.
they don't have Foster Moreau as well. Obviously, he was diagnosed with cancer the other day. Hopefully, he gets better and basically sticks it to cancer, man. And obviously, they need
Henry
pass
Ruggs,
catch.
right?
Yeah, yeah, they don't have Henry
Uh,
Ruggs as well. And obviously, Henry Ruggs obviously a couple of years ago, that basically
oh, you're
incredible.
talking about what Foster
Foster
Moreau?
Moreau.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think Henry Ruggs obviously he left a few years ago. They need
yeah.
pass catchers. Devante Adams is the only go-to that they have. Obviously, they still have. Do they have Hunter Renfro on the roster still? I think they do,
I believe
but
so.
yeah, but they need to add to that. Obviously, they got Josh Jacobs back. I think they tagged him.
Yep.
Yeah, that offense, I think they need to get someone else. They like to go offensive lineman or like defensive lineman in the first round. It hasn't worked out. The drafts are one of the most terrible drafts in NFL history, and they need to try to get a sure thing, man. They need a wide receiver. They need to get someone like Jackson Smith and Jigba if he falls, man, or like someone like a Zay Flowers, if he falls, man, or yeah, like
I
they need to
like
get someone to chip in.
I like Quentin Johnston a lot out of TCU.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
would
he's
take
good.
him. He seems like an NFL wide receiver.
Yeah,
Um,
Jalen Hyatt.
yep. Do you
Yeah, I,
consider? I know you got Jimmy G. Do you consider going Will Levis or a quarterback, maybe Anthony Richardson if he falls?
no, 100% no, man. Like they are 100% in on Jimmy G. I think it would be dumb to acquire him because like he was treated like terribly in San Francisco. We know Kyle
He's
Shanahan was
about
not a fan
he
of
was
his.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and like obviously you acquire him and like you do that to him immediately, like that's just like being cold-hearted and cruel. I don't think they do that. I don't think like even if I was the GM, I don't think I could ever do that. I think they just need to build around him. They need to give him at least one season or like at least 2 seasons, see how he is. Because like every season he started, man, he's obviously granted he was playing with Kyle Shanahan, he always ends up in the NFC Championship game anyway, but every season he's played, he's always had a playoff run, and
Give him
basically
a
every season.
chance.
So yeah, give him
Yeah.
a chance. Give him 1 year, maybe 2 years, see how he does, and like after that, try to go and get that QB if it doesn't work out.
So for my Bears at 9, I would be okay with trading back again, like just loading up. I mean, um, I
No, man,
they could
don't
go
do
what
that.
they could go Smith and Jigba too, and
No,
reunite.
they
Who?
should go Bijan. They should go Bijan Robinson at ninth. He is the closest thing to Saquon Barkley in this draft, man. And
Yeah,
they just lost a running back, man. They need to get that running. Imagine Bijan Robinson playing with Justin Fields, like, and
you could
basically
sell
with
me
those
on
wide
that.
receivers. Yeah,
You
man.
could
Like,
definitely sell me on that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Basically, they should go Bijan Robinson, the best running back in the draft. I don't think he goes higher than ninth. That's why whenever I do my mock, I will mock him to the Chicago Bears, and hopefully Ryan Pauls gets him, man. Because like basically Justin Fields was on pace to break Lamar Jackson's record for the most rushing yards by a QB
Yeah.
before he got hurt. And basically, if he played the entire season, he would have broken the record. He is one of the most electric, basically running quarterbacks in the league right now. And you add basically the most electric running back in the draft. And you have DJ Moore, you have Chase Claypool, you have Daniel Mooney. Basically,
Yeah.
you have Cole Kmet as Titan. Like, what's not to love about that offense, man? Like, I'm like 100%. If they draft Bijan Robinson, I don't know. I might be a Bears fan. I might be a Bears fan if they do. Like, that's my pick for them. They should take him.
I also like Jameer Gibbs a lot as well.
Yeah, he's good.
And I think you can get him
He's
later, but I
he's not
agree.
Bijan Robinson though.
I would love Bijan Robinson. Man, I am not as optimistic or excited about the Bears offseason as some are. Like, like I didn't like not paying David Montgomery. I would have kept
Yeah,
Montgomery all day.
yeah.
I feel like instead of addressing all the needs we have, we're creating more needs. Like,
Mm-hmm,
what are our two biggest signings or two biggest things we've done this offseason is
mm-hmm,
replace Roquan Smith, who we could
mm-hmm,
have kept and paid, and
mm-hmm,
that would have made me happy. So we had to replace him with Tremaine Edmonds,
mm-hmm,
who is a good player. I'd rather have
mm-hmm,
Roquan Smith.
mm-hmm.
And then we didn't pay David Montgomery. So we spent two of our deals on on running back. We pay who did we get? Deontay Foreman and Travis Homer. So now
Mm-hmm.
we've got Khalil Herbert and Deontay Foreman, who in my opinion are two backup running backs. They're not running back one. So I like your thinking. If that's the route you're gonna do, go get a running back one. Go get Bijan Robinson.
I think yeah. I think Bears fans, obviously everyone is skeptical, man. Like you guys are so used to being disappointed. It's your go-to default. But I'm
I
here to
do
tell you
love
guys.
I do love
Yeah, go on.
DJ Moore. I love the DJ Moore trade. He's a monster.
Yeah, he's a monster. Yeah, I wish the Ravens thought of that. Obviously, we didn't have a first round pick, a first overall pick. But I think you guys are so used to disappointment that basically anything the Bears do, you guys are going to question it. And like NFL fans know their teams better than anyone else. Like you're not going to know more about the Chicago Bears than a Chicago Bears fan. Like that's just it. But I think in terms of the coaching, obviously, I think they preferred. In terms of Roquan Smith, obviously, Roquan wanted $100 million. That's what he got to the Ravens, 100 million plus. The Ravens settled at $100 million. The Bears weren't willing to offer that, considering that they basically had a roster to rebuild. Like you can't make a big commitment on defense when you have a young QB, you don't have wide receivers, you don't have basically you have a roster to rebuild. You don't have an offensive lineman, an offensive line, basically everything. You have to rebuild. You can't make a big commitment on defense, man.
Yeah, I
Man.
mean that's the
And I
thing
think
is
I also think Tremaine Edmonds is the type of linebacker that basically is suited for the defense that they're trying to play right now. I think
yeah,
he's more
it's like
of a linebacker that's not more of like the hitting type, more of like the spy type. And obviously, Rockwan can do that too, but obviously, Tremaine Edmonds is taller. He basically his length is massive.
yeah,
Uh, I think it just fits the mold, and obviously they paid like $64 million for him, or 74
yeah,
million dollars for him. Obviously they didn't part with that $100 million. It's only 4 years, so it's a short-term investment. I think just basically for what Rand Paul is trying to do, the Tremaine Edmonds move makes sense other than Roquan Smith, because Roquan Smith would have been much more money, much longer term investment, and basically not the style of play that the coach basically prefers. And I just think Bears fans are looking at it from like a different perspective. They should look at it this way.
I'm still bitter about, you know, the entire the entire build. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I agree. Tremaine Edmonds is a better fit for
Hmm.
the style of defense they're trying to play. He's cheaper. I agree with
Hmm.
that. I was upset. Like, so I would have signed Mike McGlinchey. I would have signed
Hmm.
Orlando Brown Jr. I would have
Hmm.
signed defensive tack and Draymond Jones. You know, those
Hmm.
are some of the guys we wanted that we didn't make a
Yeah,
move on.
yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, OBJ, Orlando Brown Jr. was man, is doing a madness. Orlando Brown Jr. was. Orlando Brown Jr. was a massive miss, but I think Rand Paul's. I think he made a mistake on that. Obviously, he wanted. I don't know if he wanted to play him at right tackle or like he wanted to play him at left tackle, but pay him like a right tackle. I think he messed up on that big time. OBJ is a good tackle. Obviously, like you mentioned, made obviously 4 straight Pro Bowls. No one has done that in the league in the past 4 years. Is the only tackle to do that. So yeah, that was a big miss, man. But hopefully he's cooking really well. He has basically a first round pick this year. He has a first round pick, 2 first rounds next year, 2 seconds this year, and
Yeah,
2 seconds next year, and he has a wide receiver one, man. So he's
yeah.
he's, he's cooking. He's cooking.
No, the future is definitely much brighter. We're gonna be much improved, so you can't really hate on that. Just hope that the
Yeah.
build is right and it works out.
Mhm.
But well,
Did you
good shit.
like
Go
Did you
ahead.
like the did you like the commitment to Justin Fields? Because like it's way easy for like any team to say I don't like the QB that we have. Obviously, considering that Ryan Pauls did not draft Justin Fields, do you like the commitment to him and say you're a quarterback, we're going with you, and like we can pick anyone we want, but we're going with you. Would you like that?
Absolutely. I mean, if you didn't commit to Justin Fields, I would have, I would have been gone. Like you, you can see, you can see the potential in Justin Fields clear as day. And I love getting DJ Moore. I love DJ Moore since Maryland. He's a
Mhm,
dog, and he
mhm.
never really had a quarterback in Carolina. So you team him with
Yeah,
Justin Fields, look out. He might have a breakout year.
yeah,
Um,
and
yeah,
he's also had 1,000 receiving yards every single year he's been in the league, and
yeah.
he's played with nobodies. He's
Yes.
played with literally no one. He's played with PJ Walker, Sam Darnold,
He he might go for 2,000 this year.
like Baker Mayfield. He's played with no one. Yeah, man, and like yeah, 2,000 hopefully, man. Obviously, Calvin Johnson is still up there, but like still time to get him.
Yep. So we'll see. I'm optimistic, but and then we'll keep this coming out. We'll do the rest of the AFC and the NFC next week and stuff. But I appreciate you coming on, man. Hopefully your the power situation gets resolved out there. But
I apologize to all our viewers, man. Like, if you guys got to the end, man, if you guys got to here, man, I'm really sorry for the power outages, man. I know, like, this has been a shambles on my end, but
no, it's all
hopefully, we
good.
don't have a storm next time, and like, hopefully, we
Yep.
can do this with the electricity on.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Good shit as always.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. Have a great week, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Keep following along and have a great week. Hit that subscribe. Peace out.